Good morning, everyone. My name is Lincoln, and welcome to RPA Tutor. Today, we're going to go over how to read a Excel file and loop through the information. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start a new process, and for everyone that's watching out there, there's many different ways of setting up the project. I typically go through um, just a simple sequence so that we can quickly get through the content. And of course, you can use the RE framework where you can use workflows and all kinds of decision trees. But uh, the goal is to give you the tools that you would need to accomplish a specific task, um, a reusable task. There's oftentimes to where you might need to retrieve emails or you might need to read Excel files and loop through the data. Generally speaking, there's a lot of projects that require you to take an input file, process that information, and store it somewhere else, whether it's going through a website, a web form, and injecting the data, and just cycling through it so that you take the human element out of that. There's also other times to where you might want to loop through some data and just inject it into a data table, into a database. Um, but so what we're going to do is we're going to start a new project, add it to a sequence. We're going to open up the Excel file in a Excel scope, and from there we'll read through that data, put it into a data table, and we'll loop through each of those rows. And for now, we're just going to print it out on the screen so that everyone can see it. Alright, so we have the default layout, and we're just going to go ahead and open up the main.xaml file. Go ahead and move over to our activities, and we'll just drag a sequence. And from here, we're going to, let's see, we'll drag and drop a Excel application scope. So basically whatever happens within this activity happens within the application scope that uh, it happens within the scope of the application that we open up here. So bear with me, I pre-generated a sample Excel file which we can open. But I'll just go ahead and paste this here. But essentially this is all that it has in it. These are my headers, my key fields, and my value fields. We're going to read through these, and we're going to print out the key and value fields. Alright, so what we need is a read range from here. Actually, do we need this? No, maybe we don't need this. Alright, So we're going to get rid of the Excel application scope. So we should be reading here. So this is the range that we'll be reading from the Excel file, but we don't just want to read A1 to A2. If you just leave it as an empty string, then it will read all the contents of the tab that you define here, which is sheet 1, corresponds directly to our Excel file right here, sheet 1. So from here, what we want to do is we want to output it to a data table. Now again, we're going to click into the field and hold down our control key and push K, which allows us to easily generate variables. We'll just call it data table underscore Excel output. So if we look at our variables now, we'll see that we have a data table within the scope of the sequence. Alright, so from there we're going to, so there's two different for eaches. So for this specific data table, it saves us a little bit of work just to use the for each row, and the input is going to be our data table, and we don't need to define this as a data row because it knows by default that it's a data row. So we're just going to drop a message box. And since this is processing our data rows, we will access it via row, and then within double quotes we'll address it by field header, which is key field, I believe. Let me just double check this. Key field, no spaces, and value field. Now just keep in mind that you have to close the Excel file or it'll give you some locking errors. Key field. And then we can concatenate the values with the string values with the plus sign. We're just gonna have to go ahead and toString this to be safe. And then value field, toString. So value of the first field concatenated with, using the plus sign, a space, and then we're going to concatenate the accompanying value field. So again, we're going to open up the Excel file, we're going to read the headers, which are going to be addressed here. And then from there, we're going to have a message box that displays the key field and the value field. Alright, let's go ahead and give it a go. So manufacturer is Ford, model is a Taurus, year is 2011, color is blue, and it is clean, thankfully. So great. Again, what we did was we created a sequence and we're reading the Excel file. This is for our tab name, and a empty string signifies to read the entire tab. You can also give it a range. And then from there we would do a for each with our data table as input, and then our data row as our iterator, and we will iterate throughout all the rows. Alright, so that is pretty much it. I don't go into this in detail, but eventually I will. It's always a good idea to rename all the parts to your workflows so that if there's any error to generate, that it's more easily identifiable. Because if you have a rather large workflow and you come across an error, and each of these items have this same or very similar uh, non-unique names, then identifying where the problem actually is can be extremely difficult and very time consuming. Um, Generally speaking, when you're troubleshooting, you're going to want to go to debug, and you're going to want to debug through everything, maybe set a couple breakpoints. That's kind of outside the scope of this tutorial, but I just wanted to take a moment to mention that you want to rename all of these to be as unique and concise as you can be, just so that down the road if something happens, you can quickly find where the problem's occurring. Alright, well, I hope this tutorial helps you to better understand how to read an Excel file. Um, so let me know, I was thinking about doing a tutorial on the RE framework. It seems that a lot of folks are having difficulty understanding the RE framework. And when I was learning the RE framework, it was very difficult to take in all of the information and really be able to see where all of the parts are coming from and going to. So if the RE framework is something um, that you want to see a breakdown on, there's a bunch of great tutorials out on YouTube right now. But what I would do is break down each of the different components in separate videos. A lot of the videos that I've watched essentially take point A to point Z, and they'll run through everything just to accomplish the one task. But after talking to many people, that's not really um, the best option for many people that I've spoken to. Again, they're great videos, and you should definitely watch them to get a better idea. But since people learn very differently, um, if you want to see a twist on um, a tutorial going over the RE framework, I would be more than happy to share it. So let me know. Have a great day.